Thank you for stepping into the Garden of Influence where healing and purpose meets. A podcast designed to empower women to cultivate deep healing and transform their lives from the inside out. Each episode will inspire you with powerful stories, practical wisdom, and soul nourishing insights to help you grow spiritually, heal emotionally, and live intentionally. This is a space for the woman who is ready to stop performing and start becoming, to embrace her truth, own her identity, and live from a place of alignment and authenticity. Whether you're on your way to work, it's Self Care Sunday, or you're out on a jog, let these words of love and wisdom plant seeds in your soul today. I'm your host, Ariel Gordino. Hello, everyone. Thank you for stepping into the garden. I think you should stay a while. I think you're going to love it here. And if you're not new here, hey, welcome back. I hope everyone had a really nice weekend. And today is Tuesday. I just wanted to throw it out here that we're not going to have new episodes released on Sundays anymore. I changed the day to Tuesday for a nice start of the week, some motivation to get our week started and to help us finish it. So, our new release days will be Tuesday instead of Sunday. I'm not going to take too much time because I have a really great topic for today. And I'm actually going off of this with no notes, guys. So I'm letting God and just my own experiences lately just guide me through this episode. But it has been an episode that has been on my heart for a long time. So here we go. The topic for this episode is going to be about solitude. And the title for this episode is Embracing Your Solitude. So I'm going to head to Pinterest. You guys already know the protocol. I found so many quotes on Pinterest that dealt with solitude. There's so many, but one that really stood out to me because, I try to find one that's pretty different from all the others. I found one that says, to embrace solitude is to embrace self discovery. Run into aloneness with open arms and let it swallow you up. Sit with the silence and let it teach what cannot be learned elsewhere. There's liberation here. And I also wanted to read the definition of solitude as well. It refers to the state of being alone, and it can be either a chosen or imposed condition. It can be a positive experience, providing opportunities for reflection, creativity, and personal growth, or it can be a negative experience associated with loneliness and isolation. So I want everyone to really pay attention to that last part where it said, or it can be a negative experience that deals with a lot of isolation and negativity. So it gave us two different type of routes basically within solitude in itself. But I'm going to get back to that. I first wanted to start this episode with just a lot of transparency about where I am basically in my life right now that made solitude, this topic really stood out to me to something that I wanted to really speak about. In the beginning of this year, life kind of took a turn, and my boyfriend of 4 years, we ended up breaking up. And I remember in the beginning of that transition period, it was very different for me and very new because I was just so used to having someone around me all the time. And, we did everything together. And it was such a big shift. So I'm living alone. I'm doing mostly everything alone. I go everywhere alone now. And so I remember being kind of, I wouldn't say scared, but uncomfortable for sure about that shift. I've had a lot of periods in my life where I was alone. I've went through very, very, very hard times by myself. And even back when I wasn't this healed version of myself, I would maybe have people around me. But since I was so broken and I was so unhealed and even depressed, maybe, I just still always felt alone because I felt like no one really understood what I was going through and no one could really connect with me. I felt like on that level, no one could really understand because of how unique my story is. So I've always kind of, in a way, felt alone and disconnected. So what I came to realize is that right when that breakup initially happened, it was like my mind hit a switch and tried to go back to exactly how it was before. So my mind went straight down that negative route that I told you guys about in that definition from earlier. And it just wanted to say, oh, well, we're alone now. What are we going to do? Oh, we're alone. We're always alone. Like your mind will play tricks on you. That is the one thing that I always say. It will make you believe things that are not true. They're not true. And so my mind instantly started doing that. I would say for the first month, I was more so leaning towards those beliefs. And it was just up and down, until one day, I probably was praying this day. I pray all the time, but I started to realize there has to be some type of beauty into this transition. I don't believe anything happens for no reason, there's no coincidence. And I remember I was talking to a really close friend, and he asked me, like, what is your biggest fear? And I remember I told him being alone. And now looking at that answer, being alone isn't a fear. I think that being alone can have such beautiful outcomes if you basically shape your mind to what you want it to do for you. All about perspective, your perspective on it. I believe when I answered his question during the time, it was a very broken, unhealed version of myself that said, my biggest fear is being alone. Because now, if I was to answer that, my biggest fear would not be of being alone because I've found my solitude. I'm embracing it. So that brings me to the definition that we read earlier. And I'm going to read the second part just in case we forgot. So it says, the state of being alone, and it can be either a chosen or imposed condition. It can be a positive experience, providing opportunities for reflection, creativity, and personal growth, or it can be a negative experience associated with loneliness and isolation. We're going to talk about the negative experience first before we get to the positive, because usually when we are put into these type of transition periods or in a situation where now we have to maneuver being alone, or we are alone and maybe we're not used to being alone, our minds usually go to the negative first. And that's why I shared my experience in the beginning. When your mind starts to drift into these negative thoughts and isolation, and maybe it may not even show up as isolation, maybe you are keeping people around you that you know for a fact aren't any good for you, but because you don't want to be alone, you keep this company. Maybe it can be a toxic boyfriend. Maybe it could be toxic friends, or maybe you don't even have really wholesome connections. Like you're not really connected to any friends or any relations. You're just constantly just around all these different people that aren't bringing any substance to you. That right there is a sign that you're heading towards a negative type of area of solitude. I think the longer you try to run from solitude, it actually just creates more damage within yourself, which will make it even harder for you to feel comfortable to embracing it and stepping into it. So it's just prolonging the whole experience and prolonging the whole healing journey that you're supposed to be on because you're running from it. And what I'm about to say is a little off topic, but it's not at the same time. But with us being women, we really have to be picky and choosy to what we're giving our energy to whom we're giving our energy to, and the people we're around, because then we're soaking in their energy as well too. And let you be empathetic, like an empath, you really can feel like negative energy and stuff like that instantly. If you know what I'm talking about, then you just know. So when you're around all these different type of people that aren't bringing you any type of substance, but you just want company, you just want people around, you have to be careful with that, because you can really get yourself into things that you have no business even being a part of, but just because you wanted somebody to be next to, or you just wanted to be a part of the crowd, Now you're in stuff that you ain't got no business being in. So, the second part about this definition is loneliness. And I want to start this off by saying lonely does not mean alone. Okay? Lonely does not mean alone. And that's something that I just recently kind of started to understand as well. And we're humans. So, of course, we're going to feel our emotions exactly how we're supposed to. So, there's going to be times that you do feel very lonely. You're going to feel very, very lonely because in the moment you are alone and you don't have anybody right there in the moment. But are you alone as a whole? No, you most definitely have someone out there that loves you. You probably have family, you probably have friends. And if you don't have any family or any friends, one person that I know that is always with you is God. Now, if you don't believe in God, that's okay too, whatever you believe in. But I know for sure for me, God has always been there for me through everything, and He has never left me and forsaken me. So that is just something to always think about in times where you feel like you're alone and, loneliness is kind of starting to creep up on you. Okay, so now let's reread this definition and go over the first part. So it says solitude refers to the state of being alone, and it can be either a chosen or imposed condition. It can be a positive experience, providing opportunities for reflection, creativity, and personal growth. So after we done try to run from embracing our solitude and we tried to fill all the voids and we felt all the emotions and we did everything, the journey is not going anywhere. So if you're called to embrace your solitude, you're going to embrace it either way. If it takes you longer, then it takes you longer. But eventually, if you ever wake up, then you will have to embrace it. What happens when you start to find the beauty in solitude is you start pouring more into yourself immediately. That is probably the first thing you start doing is you start pouring into yourself. You start doing things that make you happy. If you didn't listen to my last episode about filling up your cup, please go listen to that episode as well. I feel like these episodes really are complementing each other and they go hand in hand. So you're starting to do things that really make you feel good. And while you're doing those things, then you're starting to have self reflections about yourself, and with that comes your personal growth. And if you're starting to do things that really make you happy, then your creativity starts to come out. It's like all of these things just start working together and you start really enjoying being alone. I just feel like when you're in a positive state of solitude, it really helps you be real and find yourself again. Because in all those quiet moments that you have to yourself, now you can finally hear what you need. You can hear yourself and you can feel yourself. You can really pay attention to you and only you and not care about who's around and who's going to perceive it in a certain way. You can just be yourself fully without any judgment because you're becoming your happiness. It allows us to reflect on so many things. It allows us to reflect on ourselves, our life, others, and our future. And during those reflections, you can also start picking up on things that you might have broken off of you a while ago because of something like a heartbreak or pain that you had to endure or grieving. It's definitely a state of mind that we have to want and choose for ourselves. And because what comes after choosing that, it will restore and build us up to the people that we have to be to show up for other people that may be entering our lives or people that are in our lives already. A really cute idea that I just did recently was I made a solo date jar. So I had like these little jars sitting around at home, and I got some glitter stickers and just construction paper. I had pink, purple, and red paper, and I just cut them out into strips. And I just wrote on each piece, a little piece of paper, a date that I would want to take myself on. and I fold it up and I put it in a jar. I think I'm gonna pull one every week, take myself out on a date every week. And it's just something fun to do that makes me excited to spend time by myself. And I wrote good things on there too, like take yourself to a hot yoga class, buy yourself a Coach bag, take a 48-hour trip to blank city, whatever. I posted a video on my Instagram, my main page at Ariel Gordino, if you want to check it out, to see exactly the jar that I'm talking about. But I think that's a really good idea for you to think of ways or think of things for you to do by yourself. I think having a jar kind of holds you accountable because there's no excuse. It's right there. Just pick out a little piece of paper and boom, that's what you're doing for today. So we're coming to an end with this episode, and I think that eventually I'm going to make a part two about solitude just because I don't think I ever realized the importance of solitude in a healing journey. And I think that is so important to find happiness and to reconnect with yourself, be able to sit alone with yourself, and especially if you have heavy emotions, and knowing how to finally calm those emotions without any outside noise. And there's a lot of things that come with that. So I think I will make a part two just so that we can dive really deep into certain parts of what solitude brings. I do have something I want to read and leave you guys with. So it says, solitude is the key to personal growth. A person who is deeply connected to themselves keeps becoming a better version of themselves. Solitude gives you the space to just be and observe yourself. When you're always surrounded by people, the only voice you have in your head is of other people's opinions. To know yourself as your authentic self, you gotta spend time with just yourself. Discover yourself. Realize who you are. Don't let the world decide it for you. Growth happens when you take charge of your story and you shape your vision in alignment with your true self. Don't let your life be a byproduct of other people's expectations of you. You are a masterpiece. Just be yourself and live for your own vision. Thank you for listening. I hope today's episode met you where you are and you left with something meaningful to carry forward. If it spoke to your heart, I'd love for you to share it with someone who needs it too. And if you feel led, please leave a review. Your words will help this garden grow. New episodes of the Garden of Influence bloom every Sunday, so be sure to follow along and grow with us on Instagram at the Garden of Influence. Until next time, stay rooted, stay real, and keep blooming.